Rey is one of, if not the most powerful Jedi we have ever seen in Star Wars. Now, to some, this is a big problem because on the surface, there is no real reason for her to have this power. However, I believe there are possible explanations that are yet to be revealed. In fact, in this video, I want to draw comparisons between Rey and another character in the Star Wars mythos that had incredible power beyond anything we had seen up until this person. That's right, I'm talking about Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader. And in this video, I'm going to propose a theory on a way that these two characters is linked that will blow your mind and yet may have been right in front of your face the entire time. What's up, everybody? My name is Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. Now, before we get into this, I need to shout out Yova Rods, who got the nerd card question correct in one of my recent Star Wars videos. And honestly, Yova is always very active in the comment section, getting a lot of nerd card questions correct. So, Yova, shout out to you. Thanks for being a part of the channel and being very active in the comments. I appreciate it. We'll, of course, do another nerd card question at the end of this video. Now, this is a really cool video for me, guys, because the very first video I ever did on YouTube was literally called Rey is Vader, how Rey could be a reincarnated Darth Vader. Now, at the time, I was playing around with an idea that the one, or the chosen one from Star Wars, was much like the one in the Matrix mythos. Now, if you don't know the mythos of the Matrix very well, Neo is this character that is this prophesied person known as the One, who has this incredible power, can set things right in the world. And the explanation within the mythos of the Matrix is that there's always a one, that constantly when the system, which is known as the Matrix, goes out of balance, that the one is introduced by the Matrix to then set things right. So the one was really the many, and continuously throughout time there would be different ones that would pop up, basically being a function of the Matrix falling out of balance. And at the time of me doing my first video ever on YouTube, I thought this could be a cool idea, that Rey could be similar to this and that she would be the chosen one, which in my mind could actually be something that the Force was creating whenever the Force itself was out of balance. And remember, Yoda says that the prophecy of the One could have been misread or misinterpreted, and it is possible that the One is actually something that the Force continuously reintroduces to the living Force whenever things get too far out of balance. Don't go watch that video because it was terrible. I was way worse at doing this back then. Yeah, so don't go watch it. Now, the theory I have for you guys today is similar to that theory, but it actually has a lot of differences. I don't know if Lucasfilm and Disney is going to go the way of having constant chosen ones throughout history. That idea doesn't really seem to be in line with what they are planning, but I've got something pretty close, and considering some new information we got about Emperor Palpatine possibly being in Episode 9, I think it makes a little bit more sense this new way. Now, let's start with talking about the parallels between these two characters. So, Vader and Rey actually have a lot in common. Number one, they have this incredible amount of Force power. Anakin did things that Jedi weren't supposed to be able to do. Same thing with Rey. Absolutely crazy. So they're both very, very powerful Force users. They also both have an origin on a desert planet. I don't know why this keeps happening, but these very powerful Force users end up coming from these backwater desert planets. And remember, Daisy Ridley did say that the fact that she began on a desert planet alone was a hint at who her parents or lineage were. Now, recently, as I just stated, there are a lot of rumors talking about how Emperor Palpatine will play a big role in Episode 9, and considering that Lucasfilm and Disney are billing Episode 9 as the end of the Skywalker saga, I think having Palpatine in the movie makes a lot of sense. I have had this thought, and you'll know this if you've been watching the channel for some time, that one of the ways they could wrap up the Skywalker saga and bring closure to it is by actually going back in time and explaining Anakin's birth, the context through which Anakin came to be on Tatooine. Now, in Legends, it was Plagueis who was doing this. Plagueis was obsessed with creating life. He was trying to create an embodiment of the Force threw the midichlorians into physical existence. Now, in the Plagueis novel, it was said that he never actually accomplished that. He had tried, but it never actually worked. And it was thought that Anakin might be the Force sort of responding to Plagueis actually doing that. Now, we also know that in the original script for Return of the Jedi, George Lucas had it written that it was actually Emperor Palpatine that had manipulated the midichlorians and created Anakin on Tatooine. Now, I have this sneaking suspicion that Disney and Lucasfilm will go with the Palpatine route, and that might be why Palpatine is in Episode 9, to explain that he, the Dark Emperor, this crazy, masterful Sith, manipulated the midichlorians to create Anakin Skywalker. But what if he didn't just create Anakin Skywalker? Consider that we know that a young Palpatine did visit Jakku early on in his life. He eventually established the observatory there and put Gallius Rax, who was a native to that planet, in charge of watching over the observatory and being the Emperor's right-hand man in a lot of ways. We know that Palpatine had many observatory-like spots all across the galaxy, though they all do seem to be on the edge of the galaxy. Now, the thing about Palpatine is he was a master manipulator and maybe the strongest Force user we've ever seen. I mean, I constantly see and read about new incredible things that Palpatine does when I'm either reading comics or new novels or watching Star Wars Rebels or any of those kind of shows. I mean, Palpatine could read the minds of people. He could manipulate their dreams and emotions. He knew when Yoda had arrived on the Sith homeworld, and he knew when Ezra Bridger had entered into the world between worlds. It is not outside of the realm of possibility that Palpatine knew what he was doing with the midichlorians, creating life to eventually have very, very powerful Force users that would do his bidding. And what if Anakin was not the only one, but perhaps the one that had come to fruition first? Let me stop and address the elephant in the room, and that is that Kylo Ren essentially tells Rey that he knows who her parents are and that they are nobody. Now, I guarantee you that was not the original plan for the Rey character. Simon Pegg has hinted at this. We've heard comments by J.J. Abrams that hint at this. John Williams, who composed the score of all of these characters, is convinced that Kylo Ren was lying to her, and that is not the case. And I think we'll just put the context together. That's not the way they were going to go with this character. However, in the scenario I am currently explaining, it could still technically be true from a certain point of view. I think it's possible that Rey, or perhaps Rey's grandparents, were created the same way that Darth Vader was created. Palpatine was going around to these planets far away from the Senate, far away from Coruscant, and had these established observatories where he was manipulating life and dropping all of these Force-birthed individuals into existence. Maybe Rey's mom died in childbirth, having given birth to this Force child, and then some other random strangers find her, and they are the parents that sell her off for drinking money. Maybe Rey's grandfather or grandmother was actually the Force-birthed child, and then the children of that child ended up being nobody on this planet of Jakku and ended up selling Rey off for drinking money. Plainly, the reason I like this so much is because I've always felt like there's a connection between Rey and Vader, and it always made sense in my mind that if Rey was either a Force birth herself or come from the line of a Force birth, it would be a great in-canon explanation for a lot of the power that she has. This could also explain why her and Kylo Ren have this kind of connection and why they are drawn to each other. I mean, think about it this way. What if the Force is this thing that was manipulated by this dark side user, in this example, Emperor Palpatine, and he causes it to manifest itself in physical form? And the first time that this happens, it manifests in this form that is, of course, Anakin Skywalker, right? Down the line from that, you have Kylo Ren, who's technically a relative of the Force itself. Then years later, it happens again, or it is happened around the same time and she's of that line. Either way, making Rey related to the Force itself. These two pieces of the Force that have manifested themselves into physical beings are trying to find each other once again. This could explain not only the incredible power that they both have, the attraction that they have to each other, but mainly why Rey is so incredibly strong. And so it's kind of a wild idea, but I would love for it to be explained that Palpatine was the one actually creating all of this life in the universe. He created Anakin Skywalker, but that the Skywalkers were not the only ones. They're not the only bloodline that came from the Force. This would explain why Rey's so powerful. I think a lot of butthurt fanboys would instantly get over it if they knew she was just like Darth Vader, and it opens up the possibility of other similar beings being out there within the galaxy. I know it's pretty crazy. I just wanted to throw it out there. I am very curious what people think about this theory. Do you buy into it at all? Could it be possible? Where are the holes within it? Let me know all of your thoughts about this in the comment section below. Before we get out of here, let's check that nerd card. I want to know, what is the name of the author that wrote the Plagueis novel? If you haven't read this novel, it's absolutely amazing. It's a shame that it is now Legends, but it's all about that Darth Plagueis and that Sheev Palpatine. I want to know, what is the author's name that wrote that book? Answer that question in the comment section below. The Den of Nerds is independent media. We rely on the support of people like you to continue to do videos like this and expand our programming. Consider checking out the Patreon or some of our merchandise to take your support to the next level. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video.